Sacred Sunday Satsang. Coming together in this way is such a blessing and such a joy. And of course, I wait so eagerly for the days when we can all be physically together again, sitting on the banks of Mother Ganga, joining together there in our satsang. But until then, and it seems like those days are coming very, very soon by God's grace. Just got the news that India has removed all of the quarantine restrictions as of tomorrow, actually, as a happy Valentine's Day present to people who love India from all over the world. The quarantine restrictions have been removed. And even having to have a COVID test before you come to India has been removed, as long as you've been vaccinated. So you have a choice. Either you can give proof of vaccination or proof of being negative of COVID. So they've made it now easier and easier for people to come. So hopefully we'll be able to be together very soon in person on the banks of Mother Ganga. But until then, it's such a joy to be together with you all here in this way. And for those of you joining us on Instagram, there's a link to be able to come live via StreamYard. Since we're broadcasting live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram simultaneously, we realized the best way is to bring up people via StreamYard. So there's a StreamYard link that will get into the chat in Instagram right away. But also, if you lose it as the comments scroll, then you can just go onto my Facebook page or my YouTube, and there will be the link where the video is streaming live of how you can click and be able to come up live via StreamYard to ask your question. And we'll start with a question, as always, that has come in advance. And that question that we'll start with today is a question that asked, what is the greatest waste of human potential? And I loved that question because we worry so much about wasting our precious resources. We worry about wasting our money. We worry about wasting our time. We worry about wasting a beautiful sunny day. We worry about wasting so much. But how many of us really worry about wasting our potential as humans? The greatest waste of human potential is to not realize who you are. To go through your entire life thinking that you are just this constantly changing physical body, right? We're identified as the body from childhood. To go through your whole life thinking that you're just a body that keeps changing, or to think that you're just a career that keeps changing. So first you're a student, and then you're something low level in a career, and then you get higher. Or to think that you're just your bank account, how much money you're making, how much you can buy, how big your house is, what kind of car you drive. Or to think that who you are is your relationships. So many of us identify as only our relationships. Oh, I'm so-and-so's wife, or so-and-so's husband, or so-and-so's mother or father or daughter. or son or friend. We identify only as those. We identify as our careers, as our physical bodies. And on some level, it's beautiful. It's beautiful on the human level of knowing that, yeah, we're here to play a role, in God's divine drama, what we call the Leela, the divine Leela. And yeah, each of us plays a different role. And sometimes that role manifests through a career. Sometimes it manifests through a relationship. Sometimes it manifests through a particular talent or skill. But that's our role in this Leela. That's not actually the truth, the core of who we are, which is no roles, no dramas, that which was never born will never die. That soul, that spirit, that consciousness, love, truth, whatever we call it. But knowing that, living as that, recognizing that is the reason we're here. It's the reason, according to our beautiful scriptures, that we've been given a human birth. Because animals are wonderful, beautiful. In many ways, they act even better than we do as humans. And yet, what they don't have, it's believed, that humans do have, is that ability to be conscious of the self, to look at the self, and to say, this is me, this is not me. Niti niti, not this, not that. Not my clothes, not my career, not my bank account, not my current emotional state. Niti niti, not this, not this. And to ask ourselves, who am I? Who am I? It's believed that humans are the only species with that ability to uncover, to discover, to experience the truth of the self. So if we don't, I think that's the greatest waste of human potential, because that's what we're here for. And simultaneously, as we are asking, who am I? Who am I? And as we're experiencing this constant blossoming and unfolding and deepening of our awareness of the self, we also keep remembering, yeah, I've got a role to play in this Leela, in this drama. I've got my particular dharma to fulfill. And so not fulfilling our dharma is also a great waste of our precious lives, our precious time, our precious energies. But when we think about fulfilling our dharma, and what is that? So many people think, well, when I find out what my dharma is, it's going to be so glamorous. It's going to be so romantic. Everybody's going to love me. I'll become famous. But dharma is not always about that. In fact, usually dharma is not about that. Our dharma is just fulfilling our right path, being true, capital T true, to ourselves. Not worrying about what the neighbors say, not worrying about what our social media audience is going to say, not worrying about fulfilling someone else's agenda, not worrying about doing what others are doing, but actually living our highest truth. So if you want to be sure not to waste your human potential, ask yourself constantly, who am I? Who am I? And whenever you find yourself getting stuck as the body, oh my God, I can't believe I'm so fat, or I'm so skinny, or my God, look at this pimple on my nose, it's horrible, I'm ugly. When you find yourself stuck in those ways, just say, Neti, Neti, not this, not this. I am not that. Not the size of my body, not the pimple on my nose, not my hair that doesn't do what I want. Or when you find yourself stuck with aspects of your particular role, your career, your relationships, just remind yourself, Neti, Neti, I am not this, not this, not that. And then allow that beautiful experience of who you are in every circumstance, in every situation. That which is not dependent on the body, on other people, on the stock market. Allow that to emerge and start to see how much you can live as that, connected to that, as many minutes, as many moments of the day as you possibly can. And when you lose it, don't worry, you're human. Remember, we're talking about human potential. You're human. That's okay. We will lose it. We will forget. And then we remember. And we have a toolbox of practices that allow us to keep remembering. Like, who am I? Like Niti Niti. Like our meditation, our yoga, our satsang. Use these tools. So, if there are questions amongst all of you joining us today, I will take those questions very happily. We'll be happy to see you come up on the screen. Yes.
Namaste, Sadhviji.
Namaste. How are you?
I'm great, all the way from Detroit, Michigan, in the United States.
Oh, wonderful. And what is your name?
My name is Ellen McNamara, and
Ellen. So nice to hear you.
thank you so much. I just want to say thank you. I absolutely love your book. I have read it twice already, and it's wonderful and it's so inspiring. And thank you. My
Thank you. Thank you.
uh,
I
my
wrote it for you. That's why I wrote it. You know,
you really did.
my life is in service and seva, and whether it's working for women and girls and children, or the sick, or the environment, or those who are struggling. You know, one of the things, sadly, that we misunderstand is that we seem to think that an empty stomach is of greater tragedy than an empty heart. And so many of us work for empty stomachs, as do we. And it's such a great blessing to be able to feed the poor, feed the hungry. And an empty heart is an equal tragedy. And so when I wrote Hollywood to the Himalayas, I wrote it as a way of service to those who are struggling, who are suffering, who are wondering when, if they will ever heal, when, if they'll ever be able to be transformed, to awaken, to experience grace and truth and love. And so, Ellen, I'm so glad that it's brought you that inspiration. And
Yeah.
thank you for sharing. And what is your question today?
My question is, what is the most effective way to cultivate devotion for your Ishta-devata?
Beautiful. So, in case your voice hasn't gone fully into Instagram, we hope that we've got all of the audio going great, but just in case, Ellen has asked, what is the best way to cultivate devotion for your Ishta-devata? Now, for those of you who don't know what an Ishta-devata is, it basically means in the Hindu tradition, in this tradition of Sanatana Dharma, we believe that there are an infinite number of manifestations of the divine, because the universe, all of the universes, all of creation has been created not just by the creator, but of the creator. And so the creation itself is sacred and divine. And there are an abundance of divine manifestations, divine incarnations of the divine who are worshipped. And so maybe if you're not in the Hindu tradition, if you're not in the tradition of Sanatana Dharma, maybe you've heard, though, of some of them. Maybe you've heard of Bhagwan Krishna or Lord Shiva, right? Bhagwan is the Sanskrit for, it means God, the divine. So sometimes we say Bhagwan Krishna, sometimes we say Lord Krishna, depending on, the language of the audience. But maybe you've heard of Krishna, of Shiva, of Ram, of Durga, of Kali, of Hanuman, of Ganesh, right? These are all divine manifestations, embodiments of the divine. And an Ishta-devata, though, is my particular form of the divine that is the dearest to my heart. And most of us have one. We love all forms of the divine. And there's one who is the dearest to our heart for a variety of reasons. And so for me, my Ishta-devata is Hanumanji, which I'll share that story another time. But for now, as Ellen has asked, the best way to cultivate devotion for the Ishta-devata. Cultivating love is the most beautiful and also sometimes the most complex and seemingly difficult aspect of a spiritual path, right? We're supposed to love God. And when we can't, it's incredibly distressing, makes us feel like we're utter failures. Like, how could we not love God? How could we not be devoted to God? And yet, for a lot of people, it just doesn't come automatically. It doesn't come so naturally. And this is where the beautiful practice comes in of remembering that the entire universe is the embodiment of the divine. And so if you can love anyone, anything, you're loving God. Whether a nameless, formless God, or whether God in the form of your Ishta-devata. And so, for example, let's say your Ishta-devata is Krishna, known as the Lord of Love. Well, if when you sit down and you close your eyes and you open your eyes and you look at an image of Krishna, or you hold an image of Krishna in your mind, if that love and devotion doesn't flow, don't kill yourself. Don't hate yourself. Don't tell yourself that there's something wrong with you. Love manifests in us in so many different ways. And Krishna is everything. So if you can love your mother, your father, your child, your beloved, if you really love them, what you're loving in them is the divine, because their physical bodies keep changing. Their moods keep changing. Their actions keep changing. The package they are in keeps changing. The only thing that doesn't keep changing is the essence, the core, the spirit, the soul. And what is that? Well, that's God, Krishna. So as you love a beloved, try to see your Ishta-devata in them. So, Ellen, who is your Ishta-devata?
My guru, Paramahansa Yogananda.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so Ellen's Ishta-devata is her guru, Paramhans Yogananda. So, as you are looking in the eyes of your beloved, and again, whether it could be a parent, it could be a child, it could be a romantic beloved, see in that person the presence of your guru. As you walk through nature, as you behold sunrises, sunsets, the stars in the sky at night, the giant trees, the blossoming flowers, behold your guru in them. Because the guru is the divine. And the divine is manifest in every form. You know, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to us, whatever form the devotee worships me in, I appear to the devotee in that form. So whatever form you are seeing your guru in, that you are able to love your guru in, he will appear to you in that form. So to cultivate devotion is to realize that your guru permeates everything. So whatever you're loving, just realize you're loving your guru. Feel your guru. See your guru, hear your guru, and everything. Enjoying a chocolate ice cream cone? Wonderful. In that enjoyment, in that moment, can you feel the presence of your guru?
Mm-hmm.
Sitting out in the sunshine, feeling the beautiful rays of the sun warm you in the winter cold. Can you feel the presence of your guru? And as you do that, allow yourself to say thank you. And this is true for all of us, regardless of who our Ishta-devata may be, or even if we don't have an Ishta-devata. If we just connect with the divine in an all-pervasive, formless, nameless way, as we move through our lives, as you love anyone, everyone, as you experience joy, the ice cream cone, beautiful music, the smell of a flower, a sunrise, a sunset, just say thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the divine. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this moment. And thank you for giving me the ability to experience this moment, to love this moment, and to feel you in this moment. Gratitude. Gratitude is the bosom buddy, you can say, of devotion. The more grateful we are, the more love springs in our heart. And as love springs in our heart, we're more and more devoted. So, yeah, see your guru everywhere, in everything, in everyone. Love it all. And be so grateful for every moment, even the moments of suffering. You know, there's a beautiful teaching at the end of the Mahabharata, where Krishna says to Kunti, you've suffered so much. So much you've suffered. Kunti, of course, was the mother of the Pandavas. Said, you've suffered so much, and throughout it all, you've stayed so devoted, so grounded, so anchored, so connected, so pious. Ask anything. Any boon you want, ask anything. And she says, lifetime after lifetime, please keep giving me suffering. And Krishna says, what? Why? No. You've suffered so much. Let me ease that. Let me give you something. She says, what I've realized is in the times of my life when everything is going so beautifully, I feel very far from you. But in the times where there is the greatest suffering, you are always right there with me. So give me suffering so that I may always be so close to you. So even when you suffer, feel your guru there in the suffering. Jai Gange. Thank you, Ellen, for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll take whoever else is joining us on StreamYard with a question. And if you have a question and want to join, feel free to click on the link that's there in the chat here on Instagram, that's there in the comments and on Instagram, and that's there in the text on Facebook and YouTube. Yes. Jai Shri Krishna, sweetheart.
Krishna, Sadhviji. We actually had a question by someone. Harsha had joined initially, but he had to leave. But it's tying into kind of what you had mentioned already to Ellen, so I wanted to just ask his question as well. Harsha asked, when one is suffering from physical illness and pain, then how do we bring about thinking about truth and enlightenment? It is difficult to concentrate on anything else when pain is physically suffering.
Beautiful. So Harsha asked, how do we focus on enlightenment in our spiritual practices when we are really experiencing physical pain and suffering? So it's a great question. And it's a practice. You know, when I first moved to Rishikesh, to Parmarth Nikathan, it was very, very difficult for me to sit for long periods of time with my legs crossed. And of course, in India, you're sitting on the ground all the time with your legs crossed. And we still have these morning prayers at the ashram. And in the prayer, we all sit in the hall and chant and sing. And then there's a beautiful lecture. And sitting in that hall, most of the time I would, after, about 25, 30 minutes, change the cross of my legs. And then I would be okay. Maybe I would have to change it again toward the end. But if I could keep moving around, I was okay. But every once in a while, the hall would be so packed that you were literally like, anybody who's seen a crowded religious event in India knows how tightly packed people are. And there literally was no room to move your legs. There was no room to uncross your legs and recross them. Or also sometimes I developed this even as a meditative practice of just, I'm not going to move. And I would start an alarm for, 45 minutes, 60 minutes. And until that alarm goes, I will not move. I won't scratch an itch. I won't change the cross of my legs. I won't adjust anything. Will not move. And what's amazing is, and of course, I realize, Harsha, in your question that you may be speaking about, probably you are, about pain on a much deeper level than the pain in my knee and my hip that I experienced. But the practice, I think can be the same. Because what I discovered was, as my knee started killing me and my hip was on fire, two things happened. One was the physical sensations, the actual pain of the body. The other was how the mind got engaged. And the mind starts saying, oh my God, I'm never going to walk again. I'm doing permanent damage to my body. Or, maybe this itch is, measles, or I've got some, horrible disease, and that's why it's itching. Or maybe something is happening in my body and I've got to move it. Or maybe the itch is because it's a mosquito, and maybe now I'm getting malaria or dengue fever. And the mind really kicks in just the most creative ways. There you are sitting, meditating. And the mind is doing everything it can to convince you that if you don't scratch that itch, move your leg, you're going to be, handicapped forever, or you're going to die of dengue fever or malaria or measles. And what I discovered was that my initial instinct was to try to ignore the pain and to just keep going back to my mantra, to my mantra, to my mantra, to my breath. But the pain kept growing and growing, and pain gets very loud in the mind. And I then shifted the practice. And instead of trying to ignore the pain, on those days, I made the pain my meditation. And so I literally dove into it. And I became as one as I could with my knee that was on fire, with my hip that was on fire. And what I discovered was that if I could do that, the games and the story in my mind quieted down. Because if you can really become one with the experience and just dive into full and complete awareness of that experience, so you're not pushing it away, you're not trying to run from it, you're not trying to distract yourself, you're not saying, I shouldn't be in pain, I do yoga for God's sakes, why are my knees hurting, why is my hip hurting? You're not getting into that drama. You're not getting into the drama that says, I will never not be in pain. Why me? Why was I born American with tight hips rather than born Indian with very open hips that allow us, Indians to sit for hours without changing the cross of their legs? If instead of allowing the mind to go into its drama, I just dive into awareness of the physical sensation, it actually becomes a very interesting meditation. And the pain dissipates. That was for me such a surprise, was the more I dove into the pain, the more I fully opened myself to it, the less it hurt. And that's when I realized this distinction between pain and suffering. Pain is the physical experience. It's the actual cells of our body sending messages to the brain that say this is painful. And it's good that we have them, because if we didn't have them, you would never take your hand off a hot stove, right? We just barely touch it, and immediately those sensory neurons are firing and straight into the spinal cord, so that then the motor neurons pull the hand off the stove before you burn it off. So it's good that we have these. that's very different from suffering, which is the emotional drama and story. And if you can figure out, Harsha, how to separate pain from suffering, so whatever pain you are experiencing, can you allow yourself to be aware of that? Not to push it away, but to actually allow your awareness to be aware of that. But also, not to limit your awareness, because remember, in our meditative practices, you speak about enlightenment. Well, as we are practicing, moving on the path to enlightenment, it's a path of full awareness, complete awareness, expanded consciousness. So, yes, there is pain. And yes, you can experience it. Be fully aware of it. And yet, as that awareness expands, what you'll realize is that's not the only thing you're experiencing. So in my case, yes, my knee, my hip were killing me. And the singing was so beautiful. And I was able to experience that. And the feeling of the leg of the woman sitting next to me in the hall was so beautiful. Here I had a new family. And the smell of the incense was so beautiful. And so when you actually allow yourself to experience the sensations that you are experiencing, two things happen. Number one, the pain itself, I found at least, it dissipates. And I've tried this with all sorts of other pain that I have experienced over the years. Don't push it away. Don't try to distract yourself. Allow yourself to experience it. But don't limit yourself. That pain is not the only thing you're experiencing. Surely you must be smelling something, hearing something, seeing something. And if not, then fill your world with other sensory experiences. Make sure that there is always beautiful music, beautiful chanting that you're listening to. Make sure there is always a smell, flowers, incense, whatever it may be. Make sure that you are able to see beauty so that that experience of the pain isn't your only experience. And it just becomes part of this moment, part of this perfect moment. And yeah, there is pain in the moment, but there doesn't have to be suffering in my mind. There is pain, and there is beautiful music, and there is pain, and there is the smell of a rose blossoming, and there is pain, and the sun is shining upon me and warming me, and there is pain, and I am looking in the eyes of my beloved. And just allow yourself to experience all of it. It's like in the ocean. Yeah, there's sharks. And yeah, there's the beauty of the ocean. And yeah, there's sharks. And there's the beauty of the ocean. And in order to experience the beauty of the ocean, we don't have to pretend that there aren't sharks. But we also recognize that the presence of sharks is not the full and complete experience of the ocean. So allow yourself to experience all of it. And stay free of the drama around the pain. Don't allow the mind to tell you stories. And if it does, chant your mantra. Just keep the mind anchored and connected, not in its stories about what this pain means, what this pain is going to be like tomorrow or next week. You don't need a story about your pain. Experience it as an experience, free of the stories of the mind. We have time for, I think, probably just one more question. So if there are any other questions, any other people joining us? Yes, namaste.
Yeah, pranam Sadhviji.
Pranam.
Yeah, so my question is regarding how to maintain my jap mala. So I've been doing mantra japa for quite some time, but I don't have a jap mala with me. I just use my finger points to do my jap because I don't know how to maintain one. So do I keep my jap mala in the puja room or can I wear it on my body? And being a brahmachari, can I wear my jap mala around my body 24 hours a day? So this is my question, Sadhviji.
Beautiful. What is your name?
My name is Prashant.
Prashant. Wonderful. And Prashant, where are you calling in from today?
I'm calling from Hong Kong.
From Hong Kong. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So Prashant from Hong Kong, for those on Instagram, in case you weren't able to hear him, he asked how to maintain a jap mala, the strings of beads that we usually made from rudraksh, sometimes made from tulsi, that we use to chant our mantra on. It's like what people in other religions would call a rosary, but we call it a mala. And he said he's not sure how to maintain it. Can he wear it on his body? Does he keep it in the puja room? What to do with it? So remember, Prashant, that the point of japa, the point of our recitation of a mantra, is to connect us to God, to take us quite literally across this ocean. So we say this ocean of samsara, this ocean of
existence,
the world, this ocean of Maya, to take us across that into the truth, into that oneness with the divine. And for that reason, ultimately, ideally, you would chant your mantra as much during the day as you possibly can. So, yes, do it seated in your mandir, in your temple, at least one time a day, if not 2 or 3 times a day, in which your eyes are closed and you're sitting in whatever comfortable posture you sit in, and you are doing the movement of the mala with the fingers. But also, you should be chanting your mantra as much during the day as you possibly can. And that can be done with your mala. It also can be done without your mala. It depends really on what your days look like, where you move through your day. Sometimes I wear my mala with me. Sometimes I leave it in my puja room. It depends. It depends on where you're going to be going, what you're going to be doing. You definitely don't want to take it into the bathroom with you when you're going to the toilet. So there's places in which you wouldn't want to have your mala on your body. And so I'd say either way is fine. Either you can use it in the morning or the evening or both. Leave it in your home temple. Go on about your day, and then during the day when you're reciting your mantra, either do it on your fingers or no need to count also, just keep doing it. Alternatively, you can wear it on your body. Absolutely. Making sure, of course, that the body is clean. Making sure, of course, that you're not filling the body with contaminants. So, for example, I wouldn't wear it on the body if you're drinking alcohol or taking drugs. I would, not wear it on your body if you're not bathing, unless, you happen to be, for example, on a yatra to Mansarovar, for example, where facilities aren't there, but the air itself is a bath of purity. Other than that, as long as your body is clean as well as pure, wear it. Don't wear it and go watch pornography. Don't, see how you are living. And in fact, wearing the mala, much like putting on tilak, for example, is a beautiful way of ensuring that you live throughout your day in accordance with that spiritual practice. You're not going to put on tilak and then go and watch pornography. You're not going to put on tilak and then, go into McDonald's and get a hamburger. So having other additional ways to remind us throughout the day of our values, of our virtues, of our priorities, of our ethics, of our spirituality, of the fact that we're not just a physical body. We have a body, but we're not the body. We're the spirit, we're the soul. And just because the body has an urge or a hunger doesn't mean that we give into it at the time or in the way that the body may be sending us messages to do so. And having your mala on you, having a tilak on you, are beautiful ways of continuing to remind yourself, I'm a divine being. I'm not just a body, I'm a divine being. I am one with God. So in that way, wearing your mala, I would say, is actually a wonderful practice. Just, make sure that you take it off before you go in the bathroom and all of that. But otherwise, feel free to wear it on your body, as long as your intake on every level through all of your senses is sattvic.
Okay. Thank you, Sadhviji.
Of course. Absolutely. This has been such a beautiful time together. I love coming together with you, and I love these beautiful technologies that enable me to see your face as we talk. And we'll do this again next Sunday. So if you have questions that we didn't have a chance to take today, just hold on to them, or feel free to put them in the comments here on Facebook, on YouTube. Put them in the comments there. On Instagram, I'm going to be posting this as a video. It'll stay on Instagram, so you can put your questions there. And then next week, join us again, and have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful week. And so much love to you all. And as I said, now that India's open, make your plans and come. Assuming, of course, that with your particular immune system, with your particular physical body, you feel safe traveling. If you do, come home. India's open. Parmarth Nikatan is open. Ganga is always open. And we look so forward to having you with us there on the banks of Mother Ganga. And until then, we will continue being together in this beautiful way. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. And so much love to you all.